It's 10 o'clock Mountain Time. It's Thursday. It's time for Tom and Shane, No Business and Politics. And we're here. Hey, I want to welcome all of our new subscribers. We got some new subscribers here recently. We appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for joining with us. And if you would like to subscribe, and why wouldn't you? I don't know any reason why you wouldn't want to be part of this group, but if you want to join our family, we would greatly appreciate it. And all you got to do is hit the little subscribe button there. Click the notification bell, and you'll always be notified when we have another podcast. And like us, leave a comment because YouTube likes that kind of stuff. They'll move us up in the search so that more people can find us. And that's a good thing. Also, if you want to support us monetarily, Shane and I will do lots of good things for you that'll make you feel good, almost like a back massage for your mind. We'll be over there to help you out. And so check that out. There's a description in the YouTube below. And we're brought to you, of course, by StreamYard. We always do that every podcast. It's easy to use. There's a free link in the description below, and it's great for doing these kind of podcasts. And we hope that you will take advantage of it and try it out. And I mean, we can do it. So how hard could it be? I mean, come on. Well, today we've got to talk about AR-15s, killing machine, or one of the best hunting rifles made today. Wow, Shane, the weapon has been in the news a lot lately. Nobody seems to like AR-15s, and I guess my first question is, do we still have a Second Amendment? Can you still own a gun somewhere in the world? I mean, come on. I know you can't own one in Canada where you are, but we're in the U.S. and our whole existence has been guns since the beginning of time. I mean, so let's talk about the Second Amendment says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. What does infringed mean, Shane?
Interfered with.
Yeah, you can't interfere with the ownership of a legal firearm. Well, of course, the thing they want to do, they want to get rid of weapons, and we want to go to gun control. And they keep calling this an assault weapon, Shane, an assault rifle, I guess. AR, they think it means assault rifle. It doesn't. It's the manufacturer's initials. But is there a law anywhere that you are aware of that would stop any of these shootings that have been going on for the last 2 months or so?
Oh, absolutely. The Brady Law that came in that has all the red flag regulations. We've gone over them and explained them. And what's seriously bad about it is that everything you're hearing the politicians ramble on about red flag laws, they're provisions of the Brady Law. Have you been convicted in the court of a crime? Are you a fugitive from justice? Are you an unlawful user of addicted to controlled substance? And there's 9 of them. There's 9 red flags right in the legislation that exists already. That and the Gun Control Act in 1968, that goes back to Lyndon Johnson. So again, it's one of my favorite little dog whistle. What you're seeing with the media and their prosecutions, no, whatever, prosecutions. No, that's not it.
No.
Okay, prostations. That's it. That's the word. Trying to have some humor here. It's a serious issue. Look, the bottom line is that there's principally 3 gun manufacturers of any size other than in Russia. Sturm Ruger is the one that produces this gun. Smith and Wesson and Remington, and all of these companies have been around for anywhere from 75 to 150 years. So the bottom line is Americans have always had a need because of rural America for any type of rifle that can take something down significantly in size. This is a 22 caliber weapon. That's not a very big caliber to take a deer down, an elk, a moose, or as we've talked about, wild boar. Those are 200-300 pound animals,
Yeah.
and they charge.
Mhm. Well, the AR-15 can be modified to bigger
Yeah, it can be, but
shells. Yeah,
principally that's what it is.
yeah, that's true. Well, all things the Brady Bill and all these things. We've got gun registration, we got background checks, all this stuff. I I don't see where the Brady Bill would have stopped the Texas school shooting or Sandy Hook or any of these other shootings. People either stole a weapon, they borrowed it from a friend, they took it from their parents, or they passed some kind of a background check and got a weapon. And end of story. And the Congress keeps battling on that we gotta do something. We gotta ban these things completely. And right now, there's 20 million AR-15s. So what are they going to do? Is Beto O'Rourke going to come to your home and take your AR-15 away from you? I don't think so.
No, it's another big, dog whistle. But this young man that went off in Texas, I guess 3 weeks now, under your laws that exist
Mhm.
today, he should not have gotten that gun.
No, he shouldn't have,
I
but he
mean,
did.
so what you have is a failure of your federal services, particularly the ATF or F, no,
ATF, yeah, alcohol,
alcohol,
yeah,
alcohol, and whatever.
tobacco, and firearms. Yeah.
Firearms, yeah, and the FBI and the National Institute Crime Service that the FBI claims they've had, and they authorize the sale or no sale to someone, and the form you have to fill out, it
Mhm.
says clearly you lie on this form. It's a 20-year prison sentence. I mean,
Yeah.
so no, I don't see what else they could do. Hardening the schools are a local issue. The failure of the
Yeah.
Texas shooting is the teacher didn't make sure the door was closed. That's it. He wouldn't have gotten
Mhm.
in.
Yeah. Well, you can't harden Walmart or, yeah, a Home Depot. Um, yeah. I don't know. I guess you could have armed guards in every aisle if you wanted to, but yeah, I this is really frustrating for people because every one of these shootings, as we find out more about the person who did it, there's all kinds of red flags. I mean, everybody saw this. He told this person, he told that person, he posted on social media, he did this, he did that. All these things that are saying, well, geez, yeah, looking at all this as a collection of stuff he did, he's nuts. How come nobody saw that he's crazy?
Well, and this shows you the failure of Twitter and Facebook in particular, which I think should be held responsible. If I was a
Yeah, I'd agree
family,
with that.
yeah, I was a family from Texas, I'd sue them, and I'd sue them on the follow predication. Uh, the bottom line is they keep saying they have these algorithms to take ISIS off. They didn't.
Yeah.
Take Trump off. Oh boy, they did.
Yeah.
Take down
Well,
any comments they don't like that people that support Trump. Oh, they can,
yeah.
but yet for some reason they don't pick up the fact that someone puts on their Facebook
Mhm.
or their Twitter or whatever,
Yeah.
or Messenger with Microsoft. I'm gonna shoot my grandmother, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna go shoot up a school.
Mhm.
And so yeah,
Yeah.
there's outlying responsibilities here that have to be reconciled and
Mhm.
investigated too. Why didn't their algorithm pick these things up? That's a fair
Mhm.
question.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. Well, the bulk of shootings, group shootings, or whatever they call mass shootings,
Mass
I guess,
shootings. Yeah.
mass shootings, are done with handguns. Only 4% are done with rifles or AR-15 style rifles. So, the guy at Virginia Tech killed 32 people with a couple pistols. So it can be, it's not AR-15s aren't the bad guys all the time. Um, because only 4% of the gun deaths are are with rifles, and the total gun deaths, half of them are suicides. They're not mass shootings or whatever.
And that's
And
right. And a mass shooting qualified
Mhm.
by your police services in your country is
Mhm.
four or more people
Yeah,
in a single incident.
right.
And it's interesting that they keep saying two things you hear. No one knows how to define what a NR-16 automatic rifle is. Well,
Mhm.
you gave it right off the top what it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
Number two, this whole issue, like in the cities of Baltimore, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and even again, Chicago last weekend, there were several situations where more than four people were shot. So
Yeah.
they don't want to qualify those as mass shootings because then they'd have that would go in the comparison of what they're claiming are, which
Mhm.
again, it's just it's it's
Mhm.
internet fill in on social media and the news because they need to talk about something and they
Yeah.
want to take their position on it to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing too, I keep hearing, well, no one's going to go out and hunt with an AR-15. Well, they do.
Of
Hunters
course they
prefer
do.
it. Yeah, hunters prefer it for versatility, accuracy, variety of calibers. As I mentioned earlier, you could change the caliber on it. Collapsible stocks, you can pack it away easily and expand it out when you get to where you're going. And it you can adjust it to fit any size person. So it's I can understand, as you were talking about before, when you're if you're attacked by feral hogs in Texas or on the border in Canada where there are plenty of them. Yeah, you need more than one shot. You can't pull the bolt back and put another round in as quickly as you can pull the trigger. You can get a shot off. So if you're hunting jackrabbits or something fast or something like that, yeah, hunters like semi-automatics.
And acknowledge semi-automatic rifle that again none of the media or the politicians want to talk about is the M1 Garand. It's a U.S. service rifle during World War II. We've all seen it in the movies.
Yeah,
It's qualified as
it's the one I used in Vietnam.
it's right. It's a semi-automatic
Yeah,
rifle
hmm
made of wood.
yeah,
You insert an 8 round clip of
hmm
point .30 caliber ammunition, and
yeah,
you can fire 40 to 50 rounds per minute. That means putting 8 clips in a minute.
hmm
Like that's pretty profound that an
yeah,
individual was trained to do that. But you can speak more
hmm
to it because you used it.
yeah, yeah. We had 20-round clips we put in it, and we would carry 5 of those with us.
And was it effective?
Well, yeah, well, it's a great gun. They were telling us it will at 200 yards, you could kill a guy behind a 2-foot diameter tree at
Wow.
200 yards.
You could shoot right through the tree.
Shoot right through the tree. So
That's
yeah, it
that's
was
an amazing weapon.
yeah, it was pretty impressive. It was big. Uh, yeah, so
But
as Bruce says, it's a rifle. Period. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's not,
but didn't you also use it to hold your poncho over yourself in the rain? So
oh yeah, sure. Yeah, it was a tent. It was a tent
yeah,
stake.
you could use it as a tent, right? Like
That's
I
right.
remember seeing that in a
Could do
couple
all
of
that.
those
Yeah.
Vietnam movies. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was good. Well, the other thing you mentioned, the humidity and everything, and wetness. This thing is made out of polymers. It's not so.
That's
There's
right.
no rust. There's no warping of stocks or anything like that, which is one reason they went to the AR-15 and other, or the AR-6 or the 16. I think they went to in Vietnam. So.
And when you look at the other
Mhm.
guns from around, like the AK-47,
Mhm.
it was a weapon of choice for two reasons. One, Russia produced them, but
Yeah.
more importantly, you couldn't jam the thing.
Mhm.
It was incredible. It was simple.
Yeah, it was
Like
reliable.
there
Yeah.
was like 7 pieces to it. You can take it apart. But
Mhm.
more importantly, if it fell in the water or if it was mud or dirt, it still operated. It never jammed.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so that's always been from the military standpoint of view, is creating a automatic weapon that wouldn't jam.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, Shane, everybody wants to compare us with, well, England, they only had 4 gun deaths last year. Well, England doesn't have our history. They don't have our
Or
history
guns.
of
Or
guns.
guns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there, as I mentioned earlier, there's 20 million AR-15s, and there are more guns than people in the United States right now. So, is there some way that we can disarm a nation? Can we do that, Shane? Can we just disarm everyone like they did in Ukraine or China, Russia, North Korea? You know,
Australia,
Australia. Yeah, they did it in
New
Australia.
Zealand.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, look, it's a voluntary thing, of course.
Of course.
And, the old saying, if guns are outlawed, only outlaws will use guns.
Mm-hmm.
So, to give you an example, in our country, and of course, as of 2 weeks ago, now everything's outlawed, owning, but that doesn't stop the criminals from bringing guns across from your border
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and having them here. So, and that's not the only weapon. I mean, we've talked about this. There are other types of weapons like a hammer or a long knife or that
Mm-hmm.
people commit more murders with every year than a
Yeah.
handgun. So,
Oh yeah. Tell me about the assault bat,
yeah,
the assault hammer, the assault screwdriver, the assault machete,
a
uh,
pencil.
the pencil. Yeah, the assault pencil, the assault tire chain. Uh,
Mhm.
you name it.
That's
Shaving
right.
cream, the razor.
That's
Come
right.
on. In France, didn't they have some guy attack a bunch of people with a machete?
And yeah, and
Yeah,
in England, they
yeah,
had a fellow cut a guy's head off with a
yeah. So
that was in military uniform.
yeah.
Yeah, a Muslim went after him and
Mhm.
chopped his head off. That
Yeah.
was back in the 19 or 2019 20 era of ISIS before
Mhm.
Trump wiped them out.
Yeah.
But we're faced with these challenges of people making bad decisions.
Well, sure.
And even though they try to legislate, as they did in the Brady Bill with red flag laws and other states with red flag laws,
Mhm.
it's very difficult to not only be in a position to react, but it's pretty difficult
Mhm.
to, create a situation where you can respond prior to something happening.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that
Yeah.
it's a slippery slope when you start going down it. But you've seen it with
Mhm.
the Brady Act,
Yeah.
and particularly on
Mhm.
January 6th when they arrested all these people and threw them in jail forever.
Yeah.
In solitary confinement.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that's what we're looking at here, and Congress is falling all over itself to try to find something that's going to salvage their defeat in November, which may or may not happen depending on what happens between now and then. But they're it seems like we close the barn door long after the horse is gone, Shane, with this stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but in politically speaking, the demolition party basically, I think, has
Mhm.
given up on racism and
Yeah.
bigotry.
Well,
I
hopefully.
I think that they realize not that's not going to work.
Hmm. Yeah.
So now they're going after, the abortion issue and this,
Hmm.
as you say, the gun
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
And it's a lost cause. It's just
Mm.
not something Americans are
Well,
concerned about.
the other thing too, there was just a report on this morning on the news. Black gun ownership up 56% is the highest ownership leap in several years, I guess, maybe ever. Because,
That's
as you
right.
know, blacks were prohibited in many states from owning weapons, particularly in the South, and during after the Civil War and during the Reconstruction and all of that,
And the Jim Crow laws
and
that
Jim Crow
Democrats
laws.
initiated.
Sure,
Yeah, of course.
yeah. So all of that was happening. So now when you're living in Chicago, um, or someplace like that, I think, yeah, when you see the news of people being attacked on the street,
Hmm.
just walking down the street and you're attacked by one or two people or more. to be robbed and whatever. And I can understand people in large communities wanting self protection.
Well, the reality is that the majority of crimes right now in urban centers in the United States, democratically controlled, are young African American black men,
Hmm.
and most of them were raised without a father, so they have no self identity in so much as the understanding of life
Hmm.
itself.
Yeah.
And it becomes a casual issue for a drive-by shooting. These aren't
Hmm.
home invasions; they're like drive-by shootings or they're
Hmm.
gang murders. So
Yeah. Hmm.
they seem to have absolutely no qualms of walking up to someone for whatever reason. It could be as simple as arguing over a necklace or a pair of Nike shoes or
Hmm.
drugs
Yeah.
and shooting someone right and right
Hmm.
on the street and not even caring that there's cameras
Hmm.
that
Yeah. Sure.
capture it. There is a
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so it's a very difficult time, but this recall in San Francisco may change a lot of people's minds.
Hmm.
Once the dam cracks and
Yeah.
people, it's not, it was great that they elected these guys because they wanted to deal with unfair
Hmm.
justice and but now all of a sudden with crime the way it is in your country, there's a crack. And so
Hmm.
you recall one person, all of a sudden people go, I'm not voting that way anymore. Now,
Yeah.
whether anyone else gets recalled, they're just
Yeah.
not going to vote that way anymore.
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
not going to feel guilty anymore because I want to be safe.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're talking about DA Chesa Bodine in San
San
Francisco,
Francisco, yeah.
which is by the way 98% registered Democrats in
That's right.
San Francisco, and for them to recall this guy speaks volumes for is well, at least in San Francisco, the Democrats have woken up to I'm tired of the people on the street. I'm tired of maps where I can walk without stepping in crap. Uh, where's it? Where are the gun areas at that I need to avoid? And they've had enough. And I don't think it's a party issue; it's a safety issue. Uh,
Yeah, well, like 2 to 3 million guns are bought each month in your country. You're at
yeah.
411 million guns now. You
Hmm.
pointed out something very interesting that African Americans, largest group now buying
Hmm.
after whites, the largest minority.
Yeah.
But so, like, over 21 million African American homes have guns.
Hmm. Yeah.
Incredibly, most of those homes are single mothers. So, like, 80% of
Hmm.
them are moms, women
Yeah.
that have bought guns.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
as we know, most of the incidents that occur that police, respond to are uh, differences between spouses, and
Mhm.
so one of them got a gun, going to end
Yeah.
real quick.
Mhm. Well, that's what I was going to say. The FBI, as you pointed out earlier, four or more is a mass shooting, and the vast majority of those are home shootings.
That's right.
Where the family argument or the whatever has escalated to the point that, in most cases, it's the white husband who blasts the family and himself,
Mhm.
and that's where it comes from. And we've talked about this before. Domestic violence seems to be the trigger for a lot of these mass shootings. And if it escalates to the point where there's a gun involved, do you really want a social worker out there with cookies and puppies and coloring books and let's sit down and talk about this rationally? I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, 40 years ago, the police departments across your country unanimously agreed they needed to hire more women policemen for specifically that reason.
Yeah.
These home domestic arguments,
Hmm.
police would show up. It's like 80% of their calls,
Yeah.
and they even if they tried to separate them, and then very often you're going to
Hmm.
separate them and then turn to the
Yeah.
male first. The
Yeah.
woman would the wife would jump on their back or something, or
Yeah.
attack them from behind.
Yeah.
So they said, well, one way to deal with this positively to
Yeah.
de-escalate is have more women police.
Mm-hmm.
And what they found is it really didn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
If a woman tried to de-escalate this type of a situation,
Mm-hmm.
the wife would attack her.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very
Mm-hmm.
crowded area of problems,
Mm-hmm.
and training is not just enough.
Yeah.
It's a matter of deciding. How do you want to
Mm-hmm.
approach it? How many times in the last 10 years have you and I talked about, like you just said, domestic response? All of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
the one or two officers knocking on the door get shot.
Mm-hmm.
The SWAT shows up. The bear truck shows up. The
Yeah.
FBI show. Within
Mm-hmm.
2 hours, there's 100 people surrounding the house, and the guy's barricaded in there and starts shooting at everybody with
Mm-hmm.
children, his children, in the
Inside,
house.
inside, yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. So,
Tough
well,
stuff. Tough
yeah.
stuff.
Our last question there is there any way to disarm a nation? Maybe the question we should be asking is there some way to arm our nation? So, uh, you're. Yeah, all these people look for soft targets, gun-free zones or someplace where they're not going to be, the resistance to them is not going to be, high. And I think that's why here in Montana, I'm always safe because I'm pretty sure I'm never more than 6 feet away from somebody who's packing a gun because you don't need a concealed carry permit in Montana. You can carry a gun on your hip, concealed, without a permit anywhere in the state. So,
You just had a primary on
mhm.
Tuesday
Yeah,
for the election in November. So was guns an issue in that primary? I mean,
no, no, not at all.
most rural representatives don't make an
Hmm.
issue of guns because
No.
people have them, and
Well,
there's
not in
that's it.
Montana because
Yeah,
you got everybody and their brother's a hunter, everybody
that's
and
what
their
I just said.
sister's a
Yeah,
hunter.
everyone
Yeah,
has one.
yeah.
So
So yeah,
it's terrible. I
mhm.
don't think I wouldn't vote for anyone. I'll just say this that made guns an issue.
Yeah.
What I mean, whether
Mhm.
to confiscate them or allow them.
Mhm.
It's. I don't think it's one. I
Yeah.
think it's a personal choice. It's not a
Mhm.
federal or provincial
Mhm.
in our country choice. It's
Yeah.
not a government choice. The government
Mhm.
should not be able to make that choice for you.
No,
That's just
no.
my own. That's just my own personal belief.
Well,
But I grew up with shooting guns, so.
yeah. Well, a lot of us did. I hunted with my dad and my brother, and
Mhm.
I mean that's there was a show years ago. I can't remember the guy's name. It was on. It was one of these outdoor shows, and they were interviewing this guy, and he says, "You give a kid a gun and a dog, and you won't have a juvenile delinquent."
Well, yeah,
I mean,
I grew up in Billings, and
mhm,
up until I was 10, but which was when my father left. But up until I was 10, he always had a sawed-off shotgun under his bed, and
mhm,
there was I don't even remember ever there being a murder in Billings,
yeah,
or even a break-in. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
mhm, yeah,
that's the other thing about
mhm,
rural areas.
yeah,
There aren't a lot of non-family murders or
yeah,
break-ins because everyone knows everyone's got a gun.
yeah,
If you're
mhm,
going to go into someone's home, day
yeah,
or night,
yeah,
you may face a gun going in.
yeah.
So
Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, here in Bozeman, Montana, where I live, 50,000 people, or little over 110 in the county, probably 110,000. And every year, the newspaper, the Bozeman Daily, almost Daily Chronicle, puts out a book of the police reports, which are not shootings, drive-bys. They're cow tipping. They're you know, uh,
you mean you still have cow rustling in
yeah, we
Montana?
still have cow rustling in Montana. Yeah. So, but anyways, a kid spray painted a dog or something. I don't know. Uh, it's just at weekends you would think crime with a university town. We'd have drug arrests and all kinds of other stuff. Not happening.
Well, I have to give because it just came to mind. But as a perfect example of crime being like willful because they videotape it, there's a YouTube video of a guy that pulls up in a 5-ton truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Opens the back, pulls a bar out, goes over, kills a cow, and
Mm-hmm.
strings it up and completely strips it down, guts it to the loins, cuts it up, rolls it in, closes the door, and drives away. That's a modern day rustler.
Yeah.
And yet, you
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about something that's, of course, more drastic.
Mm-hmm.
But again, in rural areas, boy, if
Yeah.
he was out in some rancher's place doing that, bang,
Yeah.
if the rancher saw him, bang,
Yeah. You're done. Yeah.
you're done.
End of story.
End of story. You're not getting away, buddy.
All right. Hey, I've got to remind everybody of the award-winning Tom and Shane. We're live on radio every Saturday, 8 to 11 Mountain Time. You can listen to us anywhere in the known universe. Anywhere in the universe. Go to kmmsam.com, kmmsam.com. Click listen now. Nothing to join, no sign up, no nothing to join, no email needed. We don't care who you are. We don't want to know who you are. We just want you to know
Well,
who
I do.
we are.
If it's women, I want to know if they're single.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So, well, maybe you could do that because you can text the show. So you can text us if the ladies, if you're single, and if you want Shane to entertain you for an evening of frivolity and fun.
Or more importantly, if you're a business and you want
Mhm.
to discuss your business or issues you have with your business, either live with us as a third screen participant,
Mhm.
or just on the phone with us. Tom can arrange that.
Sure.
We'd be great to have a great conversation with you live, which
Yeah.
perhaps could be a benefit. Well, it will
Mhm.
be beneficial
Of
to
course it
other
would be.
people to listen, because everybody has similar problems to
Mhm.
solve in business.
That's for sure. Yeah. And if you want to hear any of our past shows, they're also at kmmsam.com. Just click on Tom and Shane's podcast. You can get an idea of what we do before Saturday. Because if you do that, oh my God, are you going to be prepared to join us? Because we've got 87, we just passed 8,700 downloads of our shows. So that's pretty good, I would say. So,
That's impressive.
so there you are. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't do any more damage, Shane. How about you?
All right. I'm good. I enjoy this topic because there's so much important, information people need to know and understand. Because when their liberal friends assault them about guns,
Yeah.
you'll
know what to say.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Hey, thanks for listening. Let's put it up there. Thanks for watching. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, ring the notification bell, like us, leave a comment. We would appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next Tuesday on the podcast. And we'll listen to you on the radio on Saturday.